The head of Hillsong Church has told an extraordinary meeting of 800 global staff members that its founder, Brian Houston, had committed indiscretions towards 2 women. Pastor Phil Dooley, who took over as the head of the church at the end of January, told the staff in a video conference on Friday morning the first incident involved a female church member who quit after making a complaint about Mr. Houston. Another complaint involved Mr. Houston spending 40 minutes, while under the influence of alcohol and anxiety and sleeping medication, in a woman's hotel room after a Hillsong conference attended by Prime Minister Scott Morrison in 2019. Pastor Dooley said the first incident, which occurred a decade ago, involved Mr. Houston sending a female staff member an inappropriate text message. It was along the line of, "If I was with you, I'd like to kiss and cuddle you," words of that nature, Pastor Dooley told the meeting. He said the woman was obviously upset and felt awkward, and made a complaint to Hillsong General Manager George Agajanian, and left her job. Pastor Dooley said the allegations were treated very seriously, and Mr. Houston was apologetic. Do you know more? Contact Lorna Knowles on the Signal app +6 14009 41469 or on ProtonMail Nala ProtonMail. Please use this form to get in contact with the ABC Investigations team. Or if you require more secure communication, please choose an option on the confidential tips page. The woman was later paid a couple of months' salary as compensation after she was unable to find work after leaving the church. Pastor Brian said, "I want to pay that personally because it was my fault, because it was personal indiscretion," Pastor Dooley said. The second incident, he said, occurred during the church's annual conference in Kudos Bank Arena in Homebush, NSW, which Mr. Morrison opened. Pastor Dooley said Mr. Houston met a woman, who was not a member of the church, in the foyer of the Pullman Hotel. It was after one of the conference nights, and he was drinking with a group, Pastor Dooley said. Later that evening, Pastor Brian attempted to get into his room, but didn't have his room key and ended up knocking on the door to the woman's room. She opened the door, and he went into her room. The truth is we don't know what happened next. The woman has not said there was any sexual activity. Brian has said there was no sexual activity, but he was in the room for 40 minutes. The church leader said the second incident occurred during an annual conference in Sydney's Olympic Park in 2019. Pastor Dooley said at the time, Mr. Houston was under the influence of alcohol, sleeping tablets and anxiety tablets, and had no recollection of what happened. The woman had also been drinking, and so her recollection was not completely coherent. He said the church acknowledged Mr. Houston had made significant mistakes and was repentant about his actions. Mr. Houston stepped down as the director of all Hillsong boards earlier this year to defend a criminal charge that he concealed his father's child sexual abuse. In December, during our board meeting, Hillsong's external legal counsel gave the board advice regarding the current charge I am facing, Mr. Houston said in January. The advice said that it would be best practice for me to step aside completely from church leadership during the court proceedings. Mr. Houston and Hillsong Church have been approached for comment.